I'm Morgan Ring, I'm a historian, and I'm the author of So High a Blood, the story of Margaret Douglas, the Tudor that time forgot. And it's a biography that tells the story of one woman's role in the dramatic politics of Britain in the 16th century. I'm originally from Toronto, and I moved to England in 2008 to do my undergraduate degree. And in the last year that I was there, I needed an independent research project, and I knew that I wanted to do something biographical and that I wanted to work on the Tudors. And I got talking to my supervisor, who mentioned to me that Margaret Douglas collected clocks, and I thought, gosh, well, that's quite charming. I think I could happily work on this lady for the next 3 months. And as I got into the research, I suddenly thought, there is a story here that hasn't really been told. And the more I got into it, the more I realized that this was going to take a lot longer than 3 months to really do this topic justice. So after I wrote my undergraduate dissertation, I came back and I did a master's thesis to take the story further. And then right when I was starting my PhD, in fact, the day I started my PhD, I got an email from my agent saying, did you want to write a book? And I thought, well, of course I want to write a book. And so over the next couple of years, I took my quite academic research and turned it into something that will hopefully be interesting to historians, but also to a wider audience. It was extraordinarily helpful to be in England while I was writing the book, because I could walk around the places that Margaret visited. So she was imprisoned in the Tower several times, so I was at the Tower in sort of all seasons and all weathers. And she spent time in Scotland as well, so it was a great excuse for me to get to go and visit Edinburgh and visit Stirling and try to take that sort of sense of place back and put it into the book. And many of the documents that relate to Margaret's life are held in archives in England, but it took me to other places as well. So I ended up in California briefly doing some research out there, and so it's and I wrote quite a lot of it in Canada. So while it helped enormously to be in England, it's a bit of an international book. I started with secondary literature because, of course, there has been an enormous amount of wonderful historical writing on the Tudors. But after that, it was really a question of getting into the archives and finding the original letters, the poems, and reading them and transcribing them, because they're all in 16th century handwriting. And that was a process that took me to lots of different archives in London, so to the British Library and Lambeth Palace and the College of Arms, up to Scotland to the National Library and the National Archives. And it was loads of fun, because you're always sort of making discoveries. Sometimes you've got quite a good sense of what you're going to find, but sometimes you really are genuinely surprised by what's made it into the archive. And it was also a great chance to put together a section of pictures, because a lot of the characters in this book are people who are perhaps not as familiar, figures from Tudor history and from Stuart history. So it was great to find the images and the artifacts that would really sort of put a face to the name, and to show some of the really interesting sorts of methods of art and manuscript writing that people used in this period. The book's been out for a while now in England, and it got lovely notices from the Daily Telegraph and the Sunday Telegraph, the Spectator, the Times Literary Supplement, so that was lovely and very flattering. And we've had some lovely pre-publication notices from North American publications here in Canada and in the States, so from Shelf Awareness and from Library Journal, lovely mention on the CBC. So it's gone quite well so far. I'm Morgan Ring, I'm a historian, and I'm the author of So High a Blood, the story of Margaret Douglas, the Tudor that time forgot.